Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Very often you get the best fights when two guys who were previously undefeated have lost their last fights, and then you put them together. You know what I mean? So you've got two guys coming off a defeat, and you want to see whether those defeats were aberrations or whether they're both going into the fight hopefully thinking, I'm going to prove that was just a bump in the road, and I've learned a lot, and I'll come back stronger and all that business. And so you had it with Jose Valenzuela and Chris Colbert. Or was it Colbert? Colbert? I'll go with Colbert. Because Valenzuela had lost his last fight in 3 rounds. He got knocked out by Edwin de los Santos, and that was in September of 2022. He's a southpaw, Valenzuela, only 23 years old. And Colbert had lost his last fight last year also, but it was over a year ago actually. It was February of last year, and he lost to Hector Luis Garcia over 12 rounds and got floored. It was unanimous 12-round decision. He got floored in the 7th round. So both these guys had something to prove, and I think because Valenzuela had been knocked out previously, he was the underdog. Colbert is one of those PVC poster boys. And orthodox fighter Colbert, southpaw Valenzuela. And Valenzuela's the underdog. Well, the fight starts. He's very slick and stylish as Colbert. He wears some of those, they look like a cross between skirts and loincloths, and very colourful. His hair's dyed and all of this. Within 40 seconds, he's on the floor. He's on the floor because he sat in the pocket too long, and the southpaw Valenzuela throws a beautiful, compact, tight left hook, bangs him on the side of the jaw, Colbert, and down goes Colbert. And he's hurt. He gets up, and his legs are shaky. And the rest of the round belongs to Valenzuela. So that's a 10-8 round to start with. Pretty much more of the same. Second round. And there's no doubt that Colbert's got fast hands. He's slick. He's able to look kind of flashy in little pockets, but the cool, calm and collected Valenzuela, who sort of belied his 23 years, he really is fighting beautifully. And whenever he connects with Colbert, he's hurting him. He really is. The heavier hands, without question, coming from Valenzuela. I think Valenzuela's got 8 KOs out of 12 wins. I think it is. And out of 16 wins, Colbert's only got, I think, 6 KOs. So the heavier hands belong to Valenzuela. And Colbert, again, there's a bit of to-in and throwing. And then in one of the middle rounds, I think it was the 6th round, Colbert's hurt badly again. And he seems to have a damaged left eye. It swells quite profusely. And he's clearly perturbed, and he's, showing out. He was hanging a lot on the ropes. Valenzuela letting his hands go. When Colbert's on the ropes, Valenzuela was letting his hands go in serious bunches. And he really looks like, there were several occasions when this was the case, when Colbert was trapped on the ropes or in the corner, and Valenzuela was letting his hands go. And this one round, I don't know, was the 6th round, was 5th or 6th round, he was really banging him. And Colbert looked really perturbed, and his legs stiffened, and he looked distressed. And so by the 6th, 7th round, it was beginning to look like this was going to be a stoppage probably for Valenzuela, or at the very least a wide-ish points decision. And then it started to turn slightly around about the 7th, 8th round, I guess, where Colbert really was talking a lot to, I think it was the 7th round, he started really yapping to Valenzuela, and he started to let his hands go, and you've got the feeling perhaps Valenzuela's punched himself out a bit. And the punches are, coming in thick and fast from Colbert, and he's mugging, putting faces and gurning at him, and, for the first time you're thinking, well, Colbert's showing some real character here, because he was badly, badly hurt. Like I say, it was a 7th or 8th round. And Valenzuela, for the first time, he's beginning to look a bit busted up. There's blood coming out of his nose, And then in the, what was it now, the 8th round, suddenly Valenzuela again, he couldn't miss with this southpaw backhand, this southpaw right. It was he was just clocking him. He was clocking him, and again, Colbert looked really, really hurt, looked shaken and bad. Whenever Valenzuela landed, Colbert, his legs seemed to stiffen. He seemed to cover up. He seemed to hang on the ropes, almost like he couldn't get off them. And Valenzuela was in a sense, he was sort of blowing his load a little bit by suddenly letting the hands go. But perhaps if he'd been a little bit more measured, and he would have had greater success. But nevertheless, there's no doubt who's being hurt by the heavier fists, and that is Colbert. In the 9th round, can't remember who I gave it to, but it was a close-ish one. And in the 10th round, I thought Colbert was winning that round, right up to the point where virtually on the bell, he got hurt again. And again, it was amazing. He was sort of stung and his legs stiffened. And, you know, Valenzuela, if he'd had another 20 seconds, would know how to put it on him. And, you know. So anyway, the fight ends and you think, well, I mean, I can't remember. I think I had it 96, 93 to Venezuela. And then the fun starts, because all three judges had this fight 95 to 94 in favour of Chris Colbert. And the boos cascaded around the auditorium. I mean, the crowd were not happy. And the fighters had words for each other. You're a sore loser, says Colbert. Oh, you know I won that fight. You know I won that fight. And then Colbert starts waving his little WBC medallion in front of him. You know, I think there was one of those trinkets was on the line, so they dish out the medals. And the WBC loves its belts and its medals. And there's, you know, the crowd were not happy at all. And even the commentators were, even Jim Gray, I mean, he interviewed Colbert, who was, you know, saying, yeah, it was a close fight, you know, but just because he knocked me down, so what? I won most of the rounds. I outpointed him. And then Colbert comes, Venezuela comes in, and Jim Gray interviews him. And he starts by saying to Jim Gray, this is Venezuela, he says, who do you think won the fight? And Jim Gray says, oh, well, I'll ask the questions. So he interviews him, and Venezuela is not happy. And then right at the end, Jim Gray goes, by the way, to answer your question, yes, I think you were robbed. and the commentators, I don't know who they were the commentators, because it was an American commentary team. They just said, oh, this is disgusting. You know, he got robbed, and all three judges had it 95, 94 for Colbert, and no way did he win this fight. Look, it's a difficult one, because had he not been knocked over, Colbert would have won 96, 94 on all cards. And I had it 96, 93 to Valenzuela. But could this have been a draw? I don't know. I'd have to look back at it. It was one of those fights where clearly the heavier hands were coming from Jose Valenzuela. But you know, what do you like? Do you like, you know, a guy stung badly, getting hurt for maybe a 20-second period, whereas he may win the vast majority of the rest of the round? Or do you think that one heavy wallop, one heavy hook, one heavy cross negates, you know, 30 seconds of steady work from the other guy? I mean, I got to say, I thought Valenzuela won this fight, but yeah, I don't know. When all three judges have it the same scores, it'd be interesting to see a breakdown. But I don't know. I wonder. I'd like to watch this fight again. Valenzuela was, you know, very, very upset, understandably so. And I just think, you know, yeah, they got to run it back. They got to run this one back, definitely. Because there's no doubt that Colbert got out of jail, and that's putting it mildly. So if you get a chance, watch this fight and tell me what you think of the scoring. Tell me what you think of the fight. Tell me who you think won. And you know, I'm eager to hear your views on this, and I want to see this fight again. I really do. I'm going to watch this one again just to check my own scoring, if nothing else. So yeah, leave your comments below. Leave your comments below. Please leave your comments below because I'm really interested to hear them. Thank you for your time. Hit the subscribe button, smack the like button as well, and yeah, thanks very much for listening. Bye for now.